Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Itchy Fingers, where we like to play free to download, free to play games available from itch.io. We're gonna take a look at some nice weird kind of ones. We're gonna start off with a game called Mushroom Musume. Let's get into it. So if you're not familiar, Musume is a Japanese term for daughter. So mushroom daughter. Start. Once upon a time, there was a humble recluse. Though they had no need for society, they did often find themselves home to a loneliness that they could never quite shake. In the morning the sun would rise, at night it would set. The recluse would observe the splendor, knowing that the sight would be made all the more beautiful by having someone to share it with. It wasn't that they desired a relationship, perhaps it was a flame that had burned them one too many times, or perhaps they were simply disinterested. No, that's what they wanted. Someone to take care of, to teach. Unfortunately, it was a longing that could not be found, not in these woods alone. However, we're never quite as alone as we think. One day, a witch appeared as if drawn by the intensity of the recluse's desire. The lumber that the recluse had spent the morning gathering slipped through their hands as they spotted her, the witch of the woods. She began to speak. You desire a child, yes. For some, these are quite easy to come by, but not you, it would seem. Let us make a deal then. If you do 3 simple chores for me, I will present you with a daughter of your very own. The recluse, caught up in a moment of naivety, quickly agreed. The witch, knowing that the recluse was destined to accept, simply nodded and began to deliver the first of these so-called chores without hesitation. There have been some activities I've been meaning to get to. Perhaps you could make yourself useful and cross one off the list for me. Not realizing that they were simply saving the witch some time, the recluse determined which task they were most suited for. Prepare the witch a comforting meal. Restock a selection of unsettling components. Organize a surprisingly understated collection of keepsakes. Let's do that. Why not see what the witch's most prized personal possessions look like? It's not like they would ever get this chance again after all. The recluse spent a quiet afternoon carefully unpacking and rearranging her belongings, silently speculating to themselves about the sort of life this witch has led. Arriving back to their meeting point, the recluse was excited to report the progress to the witch. How very good, how kind of you. After quickly wiping themselves down, the recluse returned to their hut for the remainder of the night. The recluse slept more soundly that night than they had in ages. Having a purpose again soothed them, even if they had found themselves caught up with a witch. They elected not to think about that though. Instead, when the morning came, they simply did what they had to do, which is to say, they got up and went to the meet with the witch. Upon watching the recluse's approach, a sardonic smile lit the witch's face. You completed your first task admirably. 2 more and I can finally give you what you want. She paused for only a moment before delivering her next message of import. Your child will come into this world with little to her name. Let us even the scales. Bring me an heirloom, something she will forever value. The recluse thought on it briefly, searching through their home for the object they had pictured. The sharpest knife you own. Your most used cast iron skillet. Interesting. A glimmering music box. A soft, beautiful tune played from the jeweled box. It had been created to bring joy and beauty to all around it, which she found admirable, in theory. The recluse hoped that their daughter could have that privilege, to think she could focus on soft things like music and avoid the dark, painful things in life. Bringing their prize back to the witch, she simply gave a smile. Perfect. After their brief detour to meet with the witch, the recluse resumed their normal day-to-day schedule. With 2 assignments complete, the recluse could feel their excitement grow. If this witch was being honest, and for some reason they felt that she was, then that meant that this could be the last night they spent without a child. They hoped so, at least. That was all they could do. Barely remembering to get dressed, the recluse dashed to the meeting spot. Again, the witch had been waiting there for them. Welcome back, recluse. Are you prepared? Today's your big day, is it not? The last task is an easy one, or at least I believe so. Bring me something colorful, something bright that you think will suit her. When they were first told of the 3 tasks, the recluse had imagined things that were much more difficult. This seemed so easy. Has to be a trick, which they supposed only meant they should take it seriously, as if a mistake could mean death. With death in mind, the recluse needed to decide where to search for color. A field of flowers, perhaps, or a stony river. A field of flowers. If someone wanted color, where else was there to even consider? The recluse decided to make their way to a particularly idyllic field of flowers. The field was filled with an overwhelming amount of choice. Before long, the recluse narrowed the options down to a few. Forget-me-nots, light-hearted, blue flowerets. Black pansies, a Stygian omen. Milkweed, the bright orange herald of the butterflies. What's that? A pumpkin? Cardinal flowers, a prideful red bloom. Red feels like blood to me. Pumpkin feels strange. Orange. Interesting, not black. Well, the rest of the interface is blue, so let's go blue. A cerulean sea of forget-me-nots bobbed with the gentle breeze, fitting for a moment that they would never be forgot. The recluse plucked one, gently storing it in their pocket. The recluse returned to the witch's hut, coloured item in hand. She silently took the object, nodding her head to the recluse in recognition. The recluse stood there for a moment, unsure, before finally the witch realized what they expected. Oh ho ho, you want your promised daughter, don't you? Her voice was almost mocking, but at least it was not overtly cruel. I suppose I must tell you that I lied, human. I do require several more trifling things from you, of course. First is the matter of payment. The recluse should have known that everything is for a cost. Pay me now with wealth. Pay me now with life. Pay me sometime soon in larger quantities. Pay me at a much later date in the way I choose. Heck no. That is always a big mistake with a witch. He's a recluse, he probably doesn't have a lot of cash, but they offered their coin purse to the witch, and she took it wordlessly. After pocketing the whole pouch, she returned a single coin to the recluse's hand. This will be sufficient, the witch smiles. With the payment settled, the witch simply smiled and handed the recluse a small pot. Humans are tricky, but mushrooms are much more resilient. Consider this an upgrade. Don't worry, eventually she will develop a mind. Simply give her time, as much as she needs. Soon your wish will be in full bloom. I suppose with all that settled though, there is one last thing for you to consider. A young girl needs a proper name. The recluse thought on the witch's demand before offering the final thing they had to give. There's like a mushroom kind called Amanita, right? Then she walked away, only fate knowing if the two should ever meet again. Cultivation. I'm not going to read anymore. Okay, here we go. harsh weather has taken its toll on your garden and your entire harvest has been lost. Weeks worth of food and labor has been rotted and destroyed. Without immediate action, you and your daughter will be in trouble later down the line. Yes. No use crying over ruined crops. You simply make adjustments to your garden. There'll be less variety this season, but you'll live to see it, and that's what matters. The decision being made, life continued. One day you awake slightly earlier than usual in your somewhat somnambulant state. You hear an ethereal croon originating from your garden. When you go out, you spot a small fairy clad in blue. It is sitting amongst your crops. Ooh. I'm torn between giving the coin or building a garden. I think the garden sounds good. Without delay, you quickly gather your supplies, greenery, some common foods, help throwing a drop of blood, fade blood, that sort of thing. After consulting some books to ensure that it's an appropriate space, you lure the fairy in with treats. Though they seem unsure at first, the fairy eventually accepts your offer of a home. Oh. Okay. Though your daughter is not yet old enough to appreciate this, you're sure she will in time. Ooh, very familiar. Your mushroom evolved. Your daughter has changed in the night. Cool. The creature has grown little arms and legs and demonstrates her newfound mobility by clambering off the bed as you wake. Her demeanor seems cheerful, wandering about in an excitable and inquisitive mood. I don't know how you can expect a little mushroom kid to be practical. Nurturing her environment. You decide that now is the best time to promote her growth, spending extra effort improving her living conditions. Your daughter seems to appreciate the attention and emotes cheerfully. The decision made, life continued. One evening you hear a light knocking at your door, quite a rare occurrence. Peeking through the window you witness none other than the Witch of the Woods standing on the doorstep of your humble hut. Could she be here for a visit or to settle the debt? Give me some clothes. Introduce her. Perhaps it was time for your daughter to meet the witch. She could maybe even learn a thing or two. The two of you answer the door and invite the gloomy woman inside for dry and awkward small talk. Something about the way the two absently stare at each other. You wonder if they've made some sort of connection today. Info. Excellent in quality, affection, nutrients not good, but very familiar. Okay. Mushroom creature, mystic bond, interesting. One evening you discover many footprints outside your home, three-toed and webbed. Some strange creatures have been poking around. You've heard the rivers of these woods are home to nefarious, turtle-like creatures that capture human children only to bring them home and drown them. That sounds like kappa. Like Japanese yokai. Your child isn't a human, but you can feel their leer in envious ways from the tree line. You know a precious daughter. They know a precious daughter when they see one. By the looks of the tracks, these ones are quite young. Perhaps you can do something to frighten them away from your home. A lovely opportunity, you think, grimacing as you rifle through your things and find a number of objects that will serve you well. A netting, some spare poison, and a sword you swore never to see used again. Though if it's to protect your daughter, you don't see any reason not to. Granted, you've never used a sword before, so you tie it to a long haft and fashion a spear out of it. All you have to do now is take your setup to the river. Tracking the general area where the little monsters like to reside, you set up the net across the river downstream in an area with heavy brush. Then at the other end, you pour in the poison. It It's a fun game, sticking them with the spear as they frantically try to escape the water, caught up in both brush and net, and by the evening you have plenty of meals for the foreseeable future. I don't know if eating turtle goblins is a good idea, though you can't help but notice your daughter's fixation with the new lawn ornaments, shells on tall wooden skewers, a message to say. Nutrients though, that's good. Cool. Your daughter has changed in the night. How cute. One morning you notice that your daughter is nowhere to be seen. After an hour of search in the nearby area, you find her walking in a nearby meadow. To your surprise, the creature had now taken the form of a young girl. You feel relieved to confirm that the witch hadn't betrayed you. At your approach, she turns and grins at you excitedly before continuing to appreciate her surroundings. What's the almanac? Mushipedia. What is this about? Oh. Right. Never mind that. At your approach, she turns and grins. Right. Sit and watch her play, buy her a nice gift to celebrate, or tell her it's time to play. Your daughter seems content to do her own thing, so you decide to let her play in the meadow for as long as she likes. Taking a seat near her, you appreciate the beauty of the forest and spend time thinking lovingly of your daughter. After some time, she tires of running about and bringing you pretty things. You pick the exhausted girl up, and the two of you return home. And we've got a little season tracker over here too. For the sake of her health, you should probably find a way to get rid of the little pests. She's all organic. If she's got, I didn't read the last bit. If she's got pests, it might be a good idea to get rid of them. Herbal pesticides. Is that going to hurt her as a mushroom though? Dreading the potential spread of disease, you decide to seek some strong elixirs from the local apothecary. When you apply the lotion, it seems to be instantly absorbed into her skin. It lends her a healthier shimmer and exterminates the bugs. Awesome. The decision being made, life continued. You've been irresponsible with your funds. One more necessary expense and you won't have enough food to survive. You loathe to interact with others, but you may have to find some work in town. Suck it up and get to work. You swallow your pride and head to the village to do manual labor. It's demeaning work, but the fruits of your labor will ensure you and your daughter will survive another day. An end. One night you find yourself struggling to sleep. Your mind wanders as you consider your current place in life. You've lived peacefully with your daughter for many moons. Initially it was strange. It never stopped being strange, but you were always thankful for the company. Besides, the affection you felt for her was like any parent would feel toward their child. That was normal, at least. Your thoughts turned to the concept of time, particularly how you were once alone, and how you are afraid that you will be again someday. You hope you will be fulfilled now. You hope you've done enough. Ultimately, you find confidence in what you've done. You may have had many failures in your life, but there's one thing you know you can die proud of. Telling the recluse that you wanted to see more of the world wasn't an easy conversation. As they grew older, you worried about leaving them on their own. Thankfully, your concerns were unwarranted. They were happy that you had grown enough to want to move out. They even offered to help you build your own home close to theirs. You were welcome to visit any time, obviously. Faster than you would have anticipated, the two of you built your home together. They showed you all the tricks they knew and made sure to impart as much knowledge as they possibly could. Finally, the day arrived. You were officially on your own. You were scared a little, but also excited. It felt like a new chapter was just beginning for you. Amanita, elegant violet coral. A little fairy. While taking a stroll down the center of town, you catch the eye of a curious group of children. One of them lifts a finger to point at you and shouts, "Look, a big mushy!" That's pretty rude, by all means. What do you want to do about this? Slaughter them. Ignore the children and keep walking. Nope. Go over and see if they would like to play. How rude. Point and shout right back at them. You point back at the child and shout, "Look, a little fleshy." The other children seem to find this hilarious and turn their sides to the child you targeted, laughing and chanting in unison, "Little fleshy, little fleshy." The child who teased you quickly loses their nerve, running off with tears in their eyes. You head home, satisfied that you showed that kid who's boss. Oh, we got stats now. Dampness, mycelium, robustness, potency, humanity. There's a knock at your door. When you go to answer it, you see a man dressed in a elegant black suit. "Are you the fungal woman of the woods?" He asks, as though seeing you in the mushy flesh was not enough. "My employer wishes to invite you to a small dinner gathering. She's heard much about you and thinks her guests would relish the chance to actually be acquainted with you." You stand there slightly in shock as the man proceeds to outline the details of the event. When you should arrive, what sort of clothing you should wear. Oh, do you wear clothing? I'll have to double check the dress code, etc. Finally, after handing you a small scrap of paper with elegant writing on it and bidding you adieu, the man left your doorstep. You think about the event that's been described to you and ultimately come to a decision. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, okay. So some of these have stat checks, it looks like. You figure, why not? If they would like to meet you, you should be kind enough to allow that. On the day of the event, you gather yourself. You have nerves, of course, but that's only natural. You make your way to the party. When you arrive, you see dozens of people dressed in monocles and other strange clothing items that don't seem to serve any practical purpose. They're all sitting at a long rectangular table, spotted with food dishes that you couldn't even begin to guess the identity of. A woman eventually greets you with an excited shriek. "Oh, you are just darling. Butler, please fetch a drink for our guest and have her seated." You figure this is the host and thank her for your invitation. She moves to sit next to you at the large table and ends up keeping you company for the rest of the night. Over the course of the evening, she introduces you to everyone around the table. They all seem charmed by you, even if most of them are a little monastic. By the end of the party, you had met a variety of humans that you doubt you'll remember the name of. But you had fun doing it, and they'll certainly remember you. What was that? Oh, wow. The night sky is clear and beautiful as you sit on a stump atop a small hill looking up. Something catches your eye and you notice the streak of a shooting star. Quick, make a wish. Should wish for rain, good health. Well, mycelium and humanity at 44, that's pretty good. I think, but if we wish for dampness, well, rain, that'll increase our dampness. Let's do rain. Seems your wish has upset someone because the next day is a scorcher. Dang it, dampness went down. You feel a crisp breeze, the heat is relenting, Trees are changing color. Fall has arrived. While aimlessly wandering one day, you decide that the best use of your time would be to do some scouting. It's always useful to expand your mental map of the area. The country near your home is lush with many diverse landscapes to be found. You decide to head to the north, toward a particularly damp, dense forest that's home to a variety of useful plants. As a child, this is where you knew to get medicine plants from, but there was danger there as well. You step into the forest, feeling a humid breeze on your fungal cheek. There's an omnipresent buzz of insects pervading the air. The section of forest feels much different than where you live, and you find that it's hard to feel at peace. Despite this, the flora and fauna are resplendent. You find yourself looking from plant to plant. Finally, you see something quite interesting. What is this? A beautiful large pink flower stands tall in a nearby clearing. The petals are twisted, forming a large, sparkling bud that is larger than your head. The single flower is the distinction of the plant, but you observe that its stalk is robust and strangely segmented. It feels a bit like a monolith. For a moment, you simply stand and stare at it. Something about this strange plant leaves you with a feeling of awe. You suspect that you may be able to sell this flower in the market for quite a pretty penny, or perhaps keep its splendor for yourself. As you contemplate this flower, you realize that you have never before seen one quite like it. It felt wrong to kill something like that, even if it was only a plant. Some people would claim that you are only a plant after all. Botanicals must stick together. You continue exploring for a while. When you tire, you walk home with the comfort of knowing that you are, if nothing else, polite to fellow plants. Walking around the village one day, you overhear a gaggle of fun-sized humans giggling the time away. You gradually sneak up on them and get close. Remarkably close. They don't really seem to care that you're there. Hey wait, are they ignoring you on purpose? The nerve of some fleshies. At least you can listen into whatever seems to be so engrossing. How much? One of the children exclaims, her jaw dropped in sheer awe of another kid, whose chest is proudly puffed out. With a grin, the child reiterates, enough to buy 3 bags of candy. No fair, another child cries out. When I lost mine, all she brought me was enough for a hoop and stick. The other kids looked at the child with pity. Hoop and stick was so last season. Well anyway, the boastful kid continued. I have another one loose, so I can expect even more candy here soon. That's not fair. I want to lose a tooth. You're younger than me. What gives? It's probably because of all that candy, one of the kids said, getting met with only a shrug from the proud child, as he snacked on his treats. All the candy he's eaten, he's going to lose more. Whatever. I'm going to go home and pull my tooth out myself, and when you see me next, I'll have 4 bags of candy. Jeez. The girl stormed off, determined to come into some coin of her own. Which is odd when you think about it. Do these kids get money for their teeth? Do they sell their other parts? You wonder briefly about the value of a kidney when you hear one of the gremlins shout, be sure to put it under your pillow. Aha, you realize there's a caveat. One must need a tooth and then store it under the pillow and then money? Last you checked, what you'd consider your teeth grow back after some time. Proved to be a lucrative venture. At length, you arrive home and find yourself less certain about this than you were in the village. It's not like the fun-sized humans are known for their honesty. You pause a moment and think. One tooth won't kill you. Go for it. They grow back anyway, right? Not wanting to put any more time in attempting to convince yourself otherwise, you reach up into your mouth and grab a hold of what passes in your body as a tooth. Slowly, steadily, pressure builds as you pull, and then, that hurts quite a bit. No matter what, your tooth won't come out. Your body is too tough to let it wrench free. You could always force it, but you're not sure that's such a great idea. Cut your losses. Something tells you that this is a bad idea. Perhaps it's the throbbing pain in your mouth. This doesn't seem to be worth your time anyway. Maybe you'll just have to take one of those munchkin's teeth someday. for science. While walking down a heavily wooded path, you notice a disheveled woman slumped mournfully against the base of a tree. She bears numerous scratches and light wounds, as well as peculiarly cold black lips. Her clothes are torn and dirty, but despite this you can tell they were once quite expensive. Curiosity piqued, you approach the woman, asking if she needs help with something. The woman grimaces, shaking her head. "Nothing can be done for me. I have been sentenced to death." As she speaks, you notice her tongue is stained, as if she had been licking ink. You can't help but feel intrigued, so you insist. What does she mean? "A few weeks ago, I was walking through these woods when I witnessed the most beautiful woman I'd ever known, picking flowers alone. I am ashamed to say I was so taken by her stunning looks that I followed the woman, aiming to at least ask her name. I discovered far too late, however, that it was no woman, but the Witch of the Woods herself." Your eyes widen. Few humans would even speak of the witch. To follow her into the forest is regarded as, well, a death sentence. I know not if it was a punishment or fulfillment of my unspoken request, but upon my approach she twisted around and met me with a terrifyingly intense kiss. When I came around again, I bore a terrible curse. She visibly trembles, pulling at the tattered ends of her elegant dress. Solid cobbles seem to shift under my feet, and steady tools writhe like snakes in my grasp, conspiring to be dropped. I've been doomed to fail at all things. I've lost my work, my coin, and cannot even prepare food or forage without injuring myself. It has reached the point where I can do nothing but sit here and await. She trails off, pursing her blackened lips. Again, the doomed lady falls against the tree. Staring blankly, it's apparent that she has utterly lost her will to go on. A cursed kiss from the Witch of the Woods, how unexpected. Pursue a romance with the witch. Oh my god. That's the safest thing. Obviously. Ask her to give the curse to you with a kiss. You consider the woman carefully before demurely suggesting she try cursing you in turn. As she processes the suggestion, her cheeks redden with realization. You'd really do that for me? The woman's peculiar weakness that landed her in this situation is apparent as she averts her gaze. Admittedly, your primary interest is in the kiss. You could consider this a sort of bargain of your own. You nod. The two of you share an impassive kiss, merely touching lips together for a moment. You close your eyes and concentrate on that intangible ailment inside her, the curse. A fuzzy and indistinct object, a tiny black moth caught between two panes of discolored glass. With considered effort, you can just barely grasp it. And as you part, it comes away with you. You open your eyes to see the lady wearing a shocked expression, the stain gone from her lips. It really worked, she can't help but shout in joy. I cannot begin to thank you enough. You tenderly touch your lips. You can't see it, but her reaction tells you that you now bear the mark of her curse. Something uneasy squirms in your gut. The formerly doomed woman thanks you profusely and offers the rest of her savings as compensation, a small pouch of coins. Now free of her curse and eager to have some renewed control in her life, she leaves the woods. You can only hope you fare better than she did with your new burden. Doomed. Uh-oh. A group of 300 men stop you while you're out, demanding any goods you may have, or else. The fresh blood on their weapons shows these are not idle threats. Oh, we're doomed. Make a run for it. Oh, hang on. Natural one. Forever doomed. You decide to try to escape, not liking your other options, but you are overtaken, beaten, and robbed. You resolve that it will not happen again. A chilling breeze greets you one morning, heralding the approach of winter. The end of the year approaches and you find yourself considering your aspirations. You want to accomplish something significant, you decide. Something you'll remember. Take on a dangerous quest, attend a charming evening at the gala. Decide not to pursue anything. If we're doomed, I don't think this is a good idea. Let's do this. Recently, you've garnered enough attention in the area to be invited to a high-class event. This could be an opportunity to celebrate the year or invite someone you wish to grow closer with. You know that the recluse is not a fan of crowds. However, the thought of attending the gala with them appeals to you. Besides, you couldn't imagine a better person to laugh at normal humans with. The gala isn't until the end of the year. There should be plenty of time to pay the recluse a visit. It's nice out today, so you've decided to have a picnic. After wandering around for some time, you come across a quaint house with a bell. Just as you begin to wonder what purpose it serves, the bell rings and several children run out and begin to play. A small group of them take notice of, and subsequently surround you. With their curiosity thoroughly piqued, you have a few ways to proceed. Curtsy and introduce yourself politely. Invite them to join you. That sounds like a bad idea. Don't be a one. Dang it. Clumsy in the kitchen is an understatement. Your creations are unfit for human eyes. You never intended for this meal to be shared with anyone, and it shows. Perturbed by the sight of your food, most of the children leave. Some boys stick around and try tasting it as a test of courage. Some gag, while others proclaim it actually tastes fine. More for you, you suppose. At the end of the day, food is food and you're not picky. You finish it with no issue. You awake one night to the light of a full moon and the eerie sound of singing. As if your body isn't your own, the cool night air is drawn over your flesh upon leaving the house. And just outside you see a group of tiny fairies are dancing and singing inside a ring of sprouted mushrooms. One of them spots you, watching, and motions you closer. Go forward and play with the fairies. You go to approach the group of fae when your own little fairy friend catches up with you. They seem cautious at first, like they don't trust the others, but come with you despite that. You don't understand the words, but it seems like they have some concerns about their moral fiber. The two factions seem to come to some sort of agreement, and your friend takes the lead in a lively dance. Somehow you find yourself floating. You're not sure if it's the atmosphere or a bout of otherworldly magic, but you choose not to question it. You and your familiar spend that night dancing in the moonlight with the fairies, but all things must pass, and as the sun begins to rise, your little companion escorts you home. A man wearing vibrant, multicolored robes and a large pack approaches your home. He's heard rumors of a beautiful fungal woman and has come to paint you. He asks if you will give him the honor of being the first to put your beauty on the canvas. Accept the artist's request and allow him to paint you. Ooh, this could be interesting. Cool. After a few hours of modeling for the man, he finishes his work and turns the canvas to show you. The painting's perspective is placed behind what seems to be a man on the ground. You can see part of the back of his head and an arm that is reaching out. You stand before him, an eerie violet fog at your feet and rising at your sides. The painting has a haunting air about it, but the colors and care put into your brushes are stunning. You later receive a letter telling you that the painting was sold to a prominent sea captain. One afternoon, while sitting at home, you realize something. Today is the day of the town's end of year gala. There was something you've been anticipating. You were thrilled when your parent agreed to join you. They must be on their way now. The recluse's big night out. When your daughter had suddenly suggested that you attend a large social function in town, you were a little torn. You knew that you had to do it. In the same sense, you would have to do any silly little thing that she asks because she's your child and you love her. But this? Simply put, you're unsure where she gets her taste for such things. It's surely not from you. As the sun approached its zenith, you knew you would be arriving at her home any moment. Then the two of you could share the walk to town. Though you are regularly forced to make brief visits to the village, you do your best to avoid the hustle and bustle of the more populated areas. Tonight would be an exception. Finally, you could see a dot of magenta in the distance. Amanita. Yeah, give her a hug. As she approaches, you rush up and greet her with a tight hug. The two of you decide to begin the long walk to the location of the gala. The most direct path has you passing through the village, a walk that the two of you have taken together quite often. This evening, the town is lively. Many seem to be making preparations for the gala, and you find that your daughter's attention has been thoroughly captured by someone selling floral accessories. You will find our corsages are the finest in all the land, the salesman claims. You find yourself dubious, but Amanita has a sparkle in her eye. Buy it for her. What the hell? The girl so rarely seeks out material goods, you feel as though she deserves a little treat. As a big kid, you take the coins from your purse and, much to her surprise, purchase one of the flowered bracelets. Without further ado, you slip it onto her arm. Thankfully, it's a natural fit. The salesman thanks you, and your daughter continue the trek. With the matter settled, the two of you finished your comfortable walk to the estate that the gala was held at. You find yourself thinking about this event. It's one that you have heard about for many years, yet you've never felt the urge to learn more. As the large building entered your sight, you can't help but think that you'd still rather avoid it. Alas, it was out of your hands. Thankfully, your daughter looked pleased enough for the both of you. Perhaps it was the spectacle, just seeing all these people around donning fancy clothes and smug looks. Maybe she didn't notice those. Maybe they were all in your head. Before you can dwell any longer, Amanita grabs your hand and drags you in. As you enter, your senses are overwhelmed with all the things that humans do at events like this. Musicians in the corner, chirping away on their instruments, the wafting aroma of food and drink, far fancier than you're used to. A wonderland of human creation by humans for humans. Sometimes you feel as though you don't fit into that category, or that you must not if you don't enjoy such things. But for now, you overlook the man-made chaos. You and Amanita wander the gala for a while, familiarizing yourself with the locale. Finally, after getting a good look at everything, you find yourself tiring. You sit at a table, and Amanita sits beside you. While sitting, you and your daughter can't help but overhear some concerning nearby chatter. It would appear that a dance-off is to take place. Unfortunately, a dance-off does not seem to refer to turning dancing off. Evidently, it's some manner of intense tournament where the last dancers left standing win. You can see the gears in Amanita's head spinning. She wants to participate in the contest, no doubt, but you're not sure if you can do it. Dance off. No. You cannot believe you have reared a child that desires not only to dance, but to dance in a competition with you. You also cannot believe you want to do it for her, despite your many concerns. The panic fills your head and chest, and you do your best to push it away. You try to repeat the mantra, "It's for her," which helps. You stand, casually dusting your shoulder off, and tell her you aren't prepared. When you arrive at the dance floor, you are surprised by the number of participants. Probably 200 people stand before you, and you are supposed to dance for longer than any of them. The judge of the contest stands tall, wearing a colorful scarf to distinguish them from the crowd. The rules are simple. The last duo dancing wins. Now let's hear it for the band. As they finish speaking, the band leaves to laugh. Loud, melodic music fills the dance floor as the participants begin to dance. Now all that's left is to dance. Cut the rug. As you put your left foot in and your right foot out, you find the heat you feel in your brain overwhelming. For just a moment, everything goes numb, and then you realize you're looking up from the floor. Amanita's eyes are full of concern, that which barely dissipates as you sit upright. All around you, dancers continue to dance. The bubble around you and Amanita is small, barely enough to prevent your limbs from being danced over or on. Nevertheless, the show goes on, you suppose. You stand, dusting yourself off. The pain you feel as a result of your dancing comes as a surprise, but you'd have to take it easy tomorrow. Though the girl is clearly a little disappointed, she doesn't seem to blame you for your body's failings. Perhaps you're not as young as you used to be. She helps you up, and the two of you return home. Getting back early was something you had realistically expected, which you think helps avoid the disappointment. At least you knew the recluse made it back safely. As you grow older, you look back over your life. You think back to the witch who created you, and can't help but wonder if everything met her expectations. You wonder if you were the daughter your parent had hoped for. After all this time, you've grown up. Okay. So we've got shroomy qualities. Doomed. Cards and tokens. Tokens, you've got wealth, and you're doomed. Young adult, a bully. Friend of the Fae, and a muse. That's cool. And you're reputable. That's nice. Family matters, mystic bond, loving parent, very familiar. That's cool. And your achievement. That's Mushroom Musume. Oh, one more thing. So I actually have played this game before, and the almanac here shows you all the different ones that you have found. So the first playthrough that I had, let's see. First playthrough, I got a Pixie's Parasol, a tiny glistening mushroom associated with the Fae. It's pretty cool. Number 30, slime form, incompetent. And this time we got the 2-star violet coral, a strange mushroom famous for its striking color and unique shape. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that was Mushroom Musume. Like I said, I played it before. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it the first time. I enjoyed it this time as well, and I'll probably enjoy it the next couple of times I go through too. I'd be interested in trying to find more mushroom types. Anyway, if you're interested in playing it, have a look, download it, give it a crack, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.